Welcome to this edition of Wampaslayer Live. My name is Chris. And
we're here too.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Give me just a second.
This is when...
We're here too.
We're here now. Yay!
So, this is the third evolution of this Wampaslayer Live show. Every Sunday night, 8 o'clock, we come on after we've recorded our weekly podcast, which you can find on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or online, right as we post it every Monday at noon. Is that correct, Dave?
Yes.
Every Monday at noon. The Wampaslayer podcast is there for your listening pleasure, and you can listen to it however it deems easy for you. As you saw earlier, and go ahead and hit the cut now.
Oh.
That's
we're all here.
We got Dave, we have Evan, and we have Nate. And like I said, we just finished recording the podcast. And we wanted to come on and discuss some of the things with you, but we want to give you the nerd question right off the bat. Let you think about it a little bit. Go ahead and put that up on screen. Like we said, it's the third evolution, but there it is. The fact that we can do things like this is actually pretty incredible. If you saw my live video or my personal live video earlier, about 15 minutes ago, you saw what are behind the scenes. But it's what video game to you was the hardest to beat, and it could have been the easiest video game in the world. But if you couldn't beat it, we want to know. We want to know what you think or what your answer to that question is. But now we want to get started. As you think about that, we're going to talk about something that personally I find kind of controversial. So Sony is re-releasing movies, but they're releasing the TV version, the cable TV, the airline version, clean versions of dirty movies, really. Step Brothers is on the list. Big Daddy, what was another one? Goosebumps is on the list. I think it's ridiculous, but let's go to the panel.
Wasn't Goosebumps what was Goosebumps actually rated?
I want to say PG.
Oh, okay.
Probably.
So they're just getting rid of the P?
I guess. And that's the thing is, they haven't said is this going to make them actually G-rated?
What?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the ratings of the final. I would have to imagine that. I guess they rate them on TV. They rate them when they're going to show on TV, right?
TV has its own ratings, right?
Yes. But they still censor it for advertisers and distributors and just to be PG themselves.
Well, the tough thing is, some of the movies, like Hancock is one of them on the list, and that movie is based around a superhero who has a drinking problem, who is not, a very anti-hero hero. If you take out all of that aspect of his personality, it makes the point of the movie go away.
Yeah, and the other was the Step Brothers we brought up.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, put his thing on his drum set, it's not...
There's
no conflict there.
Yeah.
That is the core conflict of what I think is really a Shakespearean type movie.
Well, I mean, look at one of my favorite scenes of Step Brothers, Boats and Hose.
Yep, boats and hose.
Are you going to cut that whole thing? Which is another conflict, another big conflict, because they crashed the boat, and it's just I can't believe that you would do that to Step Brothers.
I guess my thoughts about all of this is that if all of those things you guys are talking about are still implied in the movie and they're not actually shown, then that's still, the movie doesn't lose anything while still keeping...
Yeah, the content's still there.
Keeping the content there. And I guess you would have to see the versions of the movies to know if like, whoa, they just cut it out.
Right.
And as someone who has watched anime for a long time and has known the companies when they come over to America to like paint over cigarettes with lollipops and things like that.
Yeah, I mean there've been a lot of instances of weird censoring like in anime, but Sony says that they want to do this so that they have a more family friendly environment for you to watch movies with your family. And I have to say, I would never want to watch Step Brothers with children. I don't care that it's that it's adult or fixed for television. I couldn't do it.
Well, I guess they already do this to a lot of movies, so it's not the issue that they're doing it to movies. We have TV versions, we have plain versions. The titles that were on the list, some of them confused me a bit. I guess this is just, if they're already going to do it, and, now make it accessible to people who want it, because it's not just going to be families, it's going to be people who have certain moral stances where there are things in movies that keep them from watching them. It's nice that Sony's, taking control of it. Because right now, there are a couple other major companies out there that do this, that take other studios' movies, create a clean cut, and then release them to the public. So this is just Sony's way of taking control over that system that's already in place with their own properties.
Yeah, and it's as long as they're not interfering with the original intent of the movie, like that movie still exists in some form, and they're still selling it. I mean, it doesn't bother me a lot because I can watch whatever version I want.
Well, it bothers Seth Rogen.
It does. Maybe.
Although, to be fair, the interview and Sausage Party and all that cannot be made in that way.
Yeah,
maybe that's why. That's because he's like, you can't do that with that movie. It's like,
Right.
Well, we lost connection to one of our cameras. It looks like, and that's Chris, unfortunately.
Oh, all right. Well, the podcast has just gotten less.
We don't have a contingency. We don't have a contingency. So, anyways, you know what? Let's while I try to fix this and I turn this way, you guys reboot for
the show
for the PlayStation is Sarah Jobin Smith's problem.
I honestly don't know that game.
Reboot for the PlayStation.
Yeah.
I thought she said a Luigi's Mansion.
No,
she said that later.
Okay.
You ever play
for the
Reboot?
PlayStation?
Reboot for the PlayStation.
Like the show?
I couldn't beat
the
first level.
I loved the show. That was a great show.
So she couldn't beat the first level of Reboot.
No. The Lion King for Sega Genesis, I couldn't beat the first level.
I will say the mic, I saw you put this game up there, which I had sitting here because I knew somebody would bring this up. It is the quintessential unbeatable game that is actually still a decent game. You just can't beat it.
It just keeps disconnecting.
All right, well, Evan and I are just going to go through the comments here.
We are in charge now, so it's Nate and Evan going rogue on...
All right, let's see what we got here. Bridget says every video game because she's lame. Bridget, you're not lame. We love you.
Even because you're lame, we still love you.
Battletoads. Did you ever play Battletoads?
I have. It was that one where it's just like the really, really long jump, and you just can't jump over it. Because I feel like that was a part of Battletoads I could never get across.
That is a part in most games. I don't like heights, and that sometimes translates to video games. Like when we play Destiny, I love the levels where somebody else can do the jumping, and I just transport with them because jumping long distances over high places in video games is not my thing.
That was the part in Sega Genesis, Christmas, 1992. My sister and I, for Christmas, got Sega Genesis. Our two games were Sonic and Tails, so Sonic number 2, and then Dinosaurs for Hire, which was you were a bunch of dinosaur mercenaries trying to shoot things. I guess you're shooting ninjas. It was like the 11th level, and there was just this really, really far jump, and I could never figure out how to jump across it. And to this day, I don't know what I did wrong.
Well, you can still hear us, everybody, but we're going to go now live to Chris while we fix another problem.
Okay.
So Evan brought up Sonic and Tails, but that's one of my games that I never beat. I even downloaded it on PS3 because you could. They had that. And I apologize. I'm looking to the right because that's where everyone is, and I'm trying to talk to them, but I should be talking to the camera. It was. I could never beat the final level when you're on the airplane, and it wasn't fun for me. Even as an adult, I couldn't do it. Let's see, what else do we have?
I think Bridget brought up an interesting one. Not being able to beat, not necessarily the fact that she couldn't beat Mario Party. It's because she always played with her brother and their friends. I think that's a pretty common issue. It's not necessarily that the game was too hard, but it's the people you play with. And I had that issue all the time with Guitar Hero. Like, I had a couple friends who I don't know how their fingers moved that quickly, but I
Turbo
could never,
mode. Turbo mode, cheaters.
Never
No, I don't know what
beat
you're
them
talking
in
about.
Guitar Hero. No. And it was a great game, but sometimes that sucks the fun out of it when you play with a bunch of people that are like way better than you. And
Man,
like,
Mario Party, just like her mentioning Mario Party, made the inside of my palm hurt.
You got blisters.
Yeah,
You got blisters
from
right
the tug of war game. You're
Yeah.
just like this. Just
The tug of war game, and then they had the canoe game where it's 1 versus 3, and you're trying to fight each other, and then the shy guy comes and pokes you. But remember, they sold or they didn't sell gloves. They sent gloves to you so you could do that.
Oh, I didn't. No, I never got a glove.
Yeah,
Really?
They stopped doing it after Mario Party 1. They got rid of those games. Let's
hey,
see.
You can see us again?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Everything is back.
Everything is fine.
Just don't.
This is why it's live, and this is why sometimes our evolution. We went from a selfie stick to just Dave and I last week, and now we have this set. In 3 weeks, some things can go wrong.
All thanks to you.
It should be mentioned. Bridget brought it up. We are currently competing with the Tonys, which I think in any other year, if it wasn't Kevin Spacey, we might have him. But
Well, no,
unfortunately,
because obviously Kevin Spacey is gonna win something, right? So.
No, I don't think
he's hosting.
Oh, I know nothing about the Tonys.
I don't think Kevin Spacey's on Broadway.
I do see
yeah.
one common thread in here are underwater levels.
Underwater levels are the worst. So let's talk about the evolution of underwater levels. So you've got the Mario and all that stuff, and all the ridiculous stuff after that. And then what does WoW do for its big cataclysm? It introduces
It puts you underwater.
an entire area, like an entire land, and they're like, we came up with all this cool stuff, and guess what? You can do with it. We can go all underwater. So stupid.
To this day, you're running out of breath music from Sonic the Hedgehog gives me anxiety. Like the like it's still like I panic immediately when I hear that.
And then you see him suffocate.
It's dark. It's real. Sonic is real.
Well, and then Sonic 3, they burned down the whole forest, set it on fire.
Wasn't that Sonic and Knuckles? I guess either way.
No, it was Sonic 3.
Okay.
But that's where Knuckles came from with Sonic 3.
Right. Yes.
Oh, that's a good one. Any escort mission.
Oh.
In most things.
That chicken in Gadgegen in Tenaris from WoW.
Oh yeah.
There is a escort the chicken quest. This was back when Burning Crusade came out. It was impossible if you were not good at doing things. And
And my least favorite thing about Elder Scrolls, as much I love the Elder Scrolls, but why can't escort?
Sorry.
Why? Oh, I thought you were telling me to stop.
No.
So we got to work out our hand signals.
We didn't work out any hand signals.
I don't understand. You're running away from something horrible that's about to kill this person you're trying to save, and they walk at the slowest pace. And it's like, no, I'm trying to save you. You're about to die. Run with me.
Kelly Kurtz, Back to the Future on the NES. Anybody?
Nate,
triggered.
Back to the Future 2 on the NES, I remember, and maybe it was a combo game and it combined the movies, but I remember trying to fly around on those stupid hoverboards.
Yeah.
That was, but yeah, boy, good call. That's like, whoosh, memories.
Well, most of the games that we're saying are Nintendo and maybe even the next generation, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis games. I mean, it was Nintendo hard for a reason. There was a game that I only played as an emulator. It was called Yonoid. It was the Domino's sponsored game for Nintendo.
Which, if you go to the Domino's on Eureka Road, they have all of the Noid figures.
Really?
Up on their thing, yeah.
Oh, I want to go steal them. I'm not going to steal them. Domino's on Eureka Road.
Domino's is always watching, man.
But I couldn't get past like the second level of this Domino sponsored Nintendo game. I couldn't do it. My next one is actually Punch Out 2. I have never beat Punch Out. I've never even gotten to Mike Tyson. It's ridiculous. I keep getting to Mr. Sandman, and I've never even gotten to Tyson.
I will say, now that we're talking about Nintendo Hard, if I went over to my Nintendo games, which are still sitting over there, I have far more Nintendo games that I did not beat than Nintendo games that I did beat. Because, when you died, you died. There were consequences. It wasn't unlimited saves or unlimited lives or health like there are nowadays. It was tough. One of my favorite Nintendo games, because now we can have props because there's video. A Boy and His Blob. I highly recommend it. You basically follow this little blob around and feed him jelly beans to make him turn into things. It was a fantastic game, and they just released it on PS4.
It sounds like something that, I don't know.
It is so cool. Never beat it. But for some reason, I have these really fond memories of this game.
Yeah. My other one was, my second one that I didn't get to bring on the podcast was Diddy Kong Racing.
Oh,
because the dinosaur cheats every time. And when he does it, and you end up losing by like a second, you get so mad at the television going, well, if the dinosaur didn't cheat, I would have made it all the way. And it's so stupid. Diddy Kong Racing.
Diddy Kong Racing.
cheat.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think Kelly's got a comment about Noid, but you have to scroll over, Dave.
Oh, sorry. Noid was an awesome game.
Noid, and
He got distracted by Kevin Spacey. Everybody is.
The only thing I remember about Noid, I think it was for Sega Genesis, right?
Nintendo.
Did they have a Sega Genesis version?
On Sega Genesis, there was a 7-Up game.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
It was a Spot.
I remember
It was called Cool Spot.
I remember the
okay.
7-Up Cool Spot.
Because
Cool
my
Spot.
dentist had that set up in the lobby, and that was like the only game. So that was the coolest part about going to the dentist was he's got a Sega Genesis. Man, this guy's so hip.
I've
People
actually
would think that now too. Actually,
probably yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually
Circles.
never beaten the original Super Mario Brothers. I've even used the warp, the warp pipes in World 1, 2, and 4, 2, and I get to World 8, can't beat 8-1.
Aww.
Nubu Gaming, we see you in there. We want to hear it. Let's go, Sean Falkenberg.
They had Cool Spot for the Game Boy.
Oh, all Game Boy games were hard because you couldn't see the screen.
I actually, going back to Super Mario, I couldn't beat Super Mario Land until I got it on the Virtual Console a couple years ago. It took me a while.
Yeah, this is a good Pizza Planet level on Toy Story on Sega.
Oh my goodness!
Just Athens.
Wait, was that before or after the race car one? Because I remember when you're driving around RC, and that one, well, at McDonald's, the McDonald's had the Toy Story Sega Genesis thing. I remember playing it all the time, and I had a hard time getting past the RC car thing because you were like in a maze and you had to pick up batteries, and it was just
I
frustrating.
do remember picking up batteries.
And it was,
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever beat that part. Maybe I have, but I don't know if that was before or after Pizza Planet.
Disney games in the 90s were also ridiculously hard.
Yeah,
The Lion
if
King?
we're bringing up
Ooh.
Disney games, and Jason's in the chat, can we ask about how well you can do to beat Aladdin?
Oh! I beat Aladdin just because the Super Nintendo version is the little kiddie version, and you get to beat the game in 4 levels, and you get to do whatever. No, the Sega Genesis version is the superior version.
Of modern games, like going to stuff that's new, I've never, I guess, beaten a Grand Theft Auto game because I'll play a few story missions and then I just want to drive the cars around and crash and steal things. Like, I never get sucked enough into the story or the gameplay. I really just want to drive around.
You're not wrong, although I will say some of those Grand Theft Auto story stuff is good.
Yeah.
Vice City is really good.
Grand Theft Auto 4
was really good.
I had
4
that
was
problem
really good.
with the Jaws game for the PS2 because it was basically Grand Theft Auto, but you were the shark.
Yeah.
So I got distracted going around eating people instead of doing whatever mission is you're supposed to do as a giant shark. There was something about like an oil company doing oil spills or something, but
So you
I
had
was
to
like,
go
I'm just
eat
gonna.
the oil tycoons.
Yeah, something like you.
I feel like that
really
was
don't know.
was
But-
a phase. It was Jaws, but with shark or Grand Theft Auto, but with sharks. and then Spider-Man 2 was Spider-Man the video game as Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
I mean, and to be fair, that was a game I was looking for. Was Grand Theft Auto with a shark?
Yeah.
So
Mercenaries.
that was good for me.
So they hit you.
They got me.
You ever played Mercenaries? That was a great Grand Theft Auto-esque game, but you were like in the middle of a battlefield and you could join like the Koreans or the UN or there were different factions, but it was basically Grand Theft Auto but with tanks and choppers and like military vehicles. It was pretty fantastic.
Bridget, we do see the lagging. We're sorry. It's an internet related thing, so it's not something that I can fix.
Jason is slightly upset that he can't represent the truth right now.
Well, that's not my fault that you're spreading lies. So, fine. In the comments section.
I wish I had a graphic right now.
We could take a poll.
Showdown.
In the comments, Aladdin for the Sega Genesis, the correct answer, or the wrong answer, Aladdin for the Super Nintendo. But going on, so it was Aladdin, it was Toy Story, and it was
The Lion King.
The Lion King was such a hard
I don't
game.
know if I've gotten past the second level.
There-
You're running around on top of the dinosaurs.
Yeah, and you're
Like,
getting
I'm
thrown
gonna
by
be
monkeys.
a mighty king.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs?
No, they're
What movie did you
Giraffe.
watch?
They're like giraffes and rhinoceros.
You need a gif of that right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was ridiculously hard, and I haven't beaten Lion King. There's the Stampede level. I can't get past it.
Yeah.
Somebody threw Ninja Gaiden in there.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
correct.
That's the original Ninja Gaiden is another game I owned, played all the time, and I don't know if I ever got past the first few levels. Like I haven't played any of the newer versions, but that was a really fun game that I never got very far in.
Bridget brought up the good point that the Lion King was giraffes that you were jumping on, not dinosaurs.
Are you sure they weren't brontosauruses? Because it felt like they were brontosauruses.
It's that Land Before Time crossover.
It was.
One random game, Comic Zone for the Sega Genesis.
Never even heard of it.
You've never heard of that game?
I don't know what that is.
It's a lot of fun. Haven't gotten past like the third level.
What is like the premise of Comic Zone?
So this comic book writer gets sucked into his own comic book, and the villain of the comic book is trying to get out into the real world. And so the writer has to go through his own comic and beat his own creation, and he becomes a superhero as the game progresses. So because it's a 90s video game, and everything has to be cool and edgy and stuff.
I feel like this one is a good one for you too. X-Men on Sega.
Yes.
Nope, never beat it.
I did never play on Sega, but on the Game Gear. I still
remember
have
playing
it for
on
my
GameCube.
Game Gear.
Eventually, you got to be a pterodactyl guy, yeah?
Yeah, Sauron.
Yes.
It's dinosaurs. We always go back. Diddy Kong
This
and
is
dinosaurs.
Evan and dinosaurs.
Lion King and dinosaurs.
We're like this.
Did you ever play Jurassic Park on the Sega Genesis?
Yes.
No.
That was a crazy game. I remember my sister had a Sega and I had a Nintendo. That was the only thing that made me really jealous of her Sega.
Oh, I
was
had
the
it.
Jurassic Park
I
game.
played it more on the Game Gear.
Okay.
Man,
Game
but yeah, I
Gear.
remember X-Men for Sega pretty well. I was always Cyclops, I feel like. And eventually got to be Magneto, but he was so slow, it was just not fun to play.
Hey, somebody actually knows what Comic Zone is.
Yep, Cat's Kelly Kurtz.
Hey, she knows what's up.
It's one of the more obscure games, but I have it on the 360, so you'll have to play it. It's fun.
All right.
It's hard. It's
I'm down.
Bridget, ski free. Did you know? So she brought up the guy when the guy eats you, and I never knew. And this was a posted, probably Dorkly or something posted this. That I can't remember, but there's a key that you're supposed to press that makes you boost.
Yeah.
Like it's actually a method part of the game that you never know about because you just think at some point you just get eaten and that's the end of the game.
That's,
Because you don't know that you're supposed to go and then you keep going.
That's an XKCD comic, actually.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Because the guy is talking about how this game Ski Free always represents the inevitability of death, because eventually you just get caught by the monster and get eaten. And then, but someone's like, you can just press it's like the S key or something. You can just press the S key and you can
you're
escape,
supposed
right?
to jump it. But...
And the dude's just like, up, and from that day on, I carry a little S keychain on my neck.
Did you guys ever play the game Braid? Or has anybody ever out there
I
ever heard
love
of the game
Braid.
Braid?
I'm familiar with it.
It was an Xbox indie game that you could download on Xbox Live.
I had it on PC. Yeah.
Okay, and dark,
PC Master Race.
beautiful indie game. The music is kind of haunting. You have to manipulate time to go through a basic platformer. It's very difficult, but the story in such a simple platformer with like just music overlays is one of the coolest games I've ever played.
I won't lie. There was a lot of. I was actually good at a lot of the puzzles. A lot of the stuff was hard to figure out. I did have to look up the one where you have to reverse time and wait for the cloud to come back.
Yeah.
But it's like 15 minutes of real time.
Yeah.
I think I did it at work. I had my computer set up because I think Mike, it was either Mike or Jason, Mike Cush or Jason was playing it as well. And but I had to sit there and do it reverse time, and then you go do something else in your day. But then you'd come back and you missed it, and I'm like, no.
Oh man, that reminds me of, speaking of hard games.
You mean what we've been talking about?
Which we have been doing for 10 minutes now. Legend of Zelda's Majora's Mask. If you didn't have a guide, how are you supposed to beat that game? How are you ever supposed to remember all of the things that you need to do to get all 24 masks? And I just so much time.
Well, now this brings up a good side question. Are you a believer in strategy guides?
I was a Nintendo Power subscriber.
Yeah.
From I think I started with issue 6, and I had it for years and years and years. But that may be part of the reason that all these old games are on our list and nothing new, because now I can just go on the internet and say, how do I beat this? Let me watch a video.
You can watch. You can watch
a video of somebody else do it.
I'm a believer in doing it myself, but using a guide to get 100%.
Yeah.
To see all the stuff I missed, to do all the cool stuff.
We talked about the Skyrim guide. I would never use a guide to beat Skyrim. You really shouldn't, because
Do you need a guide?
the story is so easy, but to find all those Daedric weapons and to find every little nook and cranny, it's cool to have a map that shows you where everything is and all that stuff.
All right, well, I think that's going to do it for us here at the Wampaslayer Live Show. Thank you for joining us in our brand new set. Thank you for the lights from Dave, and everything that's set up here is all Dave's doing.
Hey, I colored this thing.
Apparently, I'm being devoured.
Yeah,
so,
that has been a popular comment, is Evan being devoured. But this is good. We'll learn about
tasted night. I guess.
We'll learn about fixing our internet issues. And our camera issues.
Don't follow Nate on Twitter. Follow Evan on Twitter at
EJ Soup. Oh, follow Nate on Twitter. He looks sad now.
I may start using Twitter if you follow me.
He doesn't have a Twitter.
You do. He has a
Oh,
Twitter.
you got a Twitter?
At NoJack83.
Yes.
At NoJack83. I follow Nate on Twitter. You should follow Nate on Twitter, too.
But follow Evan on Twitter at
EJ Soup.
Follow Dave on Twitter at
TheAlien512.
Follow me on Twitter at AceRight4. Follow all of us on Twitter at Wampa Media. Like us. Well, you have already. Or if you haven't, well, this is the perfect opportunity.
You like us now.
There's a button. Click Wampaslayer. Click like. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and listen in tomorrow at noon.
Real important, right here on your video, there is something that says
legs.
Manage Live Notification. If you click that and check next to us, you're going to get a notification, just like any Facebook notification, that says we've gone live.
So
there you go.
You want to do that so that
it's not just my knees.
Nope.
So that next time you won't miss a second of the Wampaslayer live show. We're back next Sunday, 8 o'clock. Thank you guys for watching.